Good evening, YouTube. This is Man to Man A to Z, and I'm going to be talking this evening a little bit more about nutrition. Our last broadcast, my wife and I, we together mentioned some things about nutrition, and we got some favorable responses. People are really interested in that area, which I understand because so many people are sick, and so many people's health benefits have ran out on them, and a lot of people just don't know what they're going to do. So that's one thing my wife and I have never worried about because we know how to take care of ourselves. We don't have to run to the doctor every time there's a little problem, but we don't have problems. So, even if we did, we wouldn't run to the doctor. We know what to do about it. And our family members, close family especially, whenever they have a problem, they call us. We tell them what they need to do. And it's simple as that. But anyway, I want to talk a little bit about that. My wife's Naturally for Us, and you can check out her page sometime and subscribe to her, be a friend to her, and find out some of the things she's telling you. My wife and I are both ministers, so we minister everything from the standpoint of what God would say in His Word, or what He does say in His Word. And God addresses everything. The Bible addresses everything, really. You just have to know where to look and how to search and how to study to find out what God has to say about things. But God has something to say about every issue that we have in our lives. So anyway, when it comes to nutrition, we were talking about last night. Again, my name is Pastor Burns, or Pastor Leonard, if you want to call me that. Our ministry now, we have an outreach ministry now. We did have an actual church, but we have outreach ministry now. We do Bible studies and things like that also. But anyway, we were talking about organic foods last night. We mentioned a little bit about organic foods. We only have organic foods in our house now, and we try to buy from local farms, the local organic farms. We buy most of our produce through the farmers market. In most cities, they have a farmers market, a network of farms, local farms where the food is grown. Even if you get locally grown food that's not organic, in most cases it's a lot better than the food you would get at your standard supermarkets, the supermarket chains. But anyway, we were mentioning that last night, that it costs you more. Yes, it does cost more, but in the long run you'll save money. Because one thing I didn't mention before, I'm gonna mention a little bit this evening, a little bit more about organic foods, is organic foods fill you up quicker than most foods. So although it costs you a little bit more to buy organic food, you'll find that organic foods will go a little bit longer because you get filled up quicker. See, one of the reasons why society overeats and has weight issues is because their bodies are starving for nutrition. And they say that in the Western world, there's more people dying of malnutrition than you would think for a Western society. But just because they're not skin and bones with the bloated bellies like we see in some of the third world countries in the East, but people are still dying from malnutrition. And you could be overweight and still be starving from malnutrition. And that's the problem we have in this country. A lot of people are malnourished because they're eating empty calories, which bloat them up and get them big, but they're not healthy. Okay? So what organic foods will do for you is it gives you the nutrients. They will give you the nutrients that your body needs. This is what your body lives on, the nutrients. And this is what you get from organic foods. So what happens is organic foods are so packed with nutrients that your body gets filled up faster. So you eat less. Okay, another thing about organic foods is organic foods taste so much better. If you notice over the last maybe 10, 15, maybe 20 years or so, everybody's looking for the taste. They're saying, well, the food doesn't taste like it used to taste. And so as a result, a lot of restaurants and things like that, anyway, they're mixing all kinds of things together to get taste because people are into taste. And what people are really into or starving for is nutrition or nutrients. So if you get nutrient-packed foods, then there's your taste right there, because taste is tied to nutrients, and then nutrients are tied to the taste. So you'll find that when you get organic foods, you'll see that taste back there again. And then when you start mixing your organic foods together, and you can come up with some tremendous dishes that have tremendous taste, but you wouldn't know that unless you start getting organic food. My challenge this evening to everyone is to try eating organic foods for a week. Just try it for a week, and see the difference. Believe me, you won't want to go back, because the taste is completely different. You get filled up faster, you eat less food, and you automatically start losing weight. So that's one thing. As far as being so concerned about foods, I guess I've been all my life. My mother, when she had my sister and I, it's like we were the second set of kids. So when she had my sister and I, she was in her late 40s. So, she lived for a while. She died at 96, had no illnesses and on no medications. But what I learned from her is how to eat right. Okay, and so I brought that into our marriage. My wife came from a household where they didn't eat right, so she didn't know how to eat properly. So the situation's kind of been reversed in our marriage. Whereas most of the time the women know about fixing foods and doing all of that, and then the man just kind of eats what's set before him, so to speak. Or he might say, well, I like this, honey, I want that, and then she fixes it for him. But in our household, it's a little bit different, because my wife wasn't really that keen on shopping properly for nutritious food, because, again, she was out of a household that they didn't stress that. They ate a lot of junk food and just whatever they wanted to eat anytime they wanted to eat. Our household, we ate a balanced meal every day. We would have our salads, our soup, or whatever. We ate like that. And almost all of our vegetables came from my mom's garden, because my mother planted a garden every year. So what happened was we learned to eat nutrition-packed foods. And as a result, we didn't eat much junk food. We didn't really have a taste for a lot of junk food. My mother wouldn't let us have it anyway. But we weren't into junk foods. So we were into eating a balanced meal. And then on top of that, eating foods that taste good because they were nutrient packed, because my mother grew her foods. So I got really interested in it. So what happened was, as I got older, I began to study more about the foods and things like that. And my mom would always buy her seeds every year and grow her own foods. Well, what happened was she began to have trouble finding seeds. And so all of a sudden, the only seeds she could find were hybrid seeds. And we talked about that last night. A hybrid seed is a seed that's been crossed with another seed, okay, genetically altered, so to speak. Well, genetically altered food is less nutrition packed, less nutrient packed than foods that are not hybrid. So my mom would always look for seeds that were the original seeds, that weren't hybrid seeds. And she was beginning to have trouble finding them. So I started checking for her to try to find out what was happening. And believe it or not, what was happening is the seed companies were being bought out by the large superfood conglomerates, and also by the pharmaceutical companies. So I started scratching my head trying to figure out, why would the pharmaceutical companies and why would the large food conglomerates buy all of the seed companies? So with a little bit more research, because this was back in the day, this was before the internet, but I was always interested, so I did a lot of research before the internet to try to find out what was happening. Well, I found out that the reason why they were buying the seed companies is so people would not be able to get seeds to plant seeds to grow their own foods. And so it became increasingly hard to find good seeds, or the right types of seeds, okay, because they were buying them. Why would a pharmaceutical be interested in seeds? Because a pharmaceutical company produces the drugs. So if a pharmaceutical company is going to produce the drugs, and then they're going to take away your ability to grow a good plant from seeds, then obviously something's up. Okay, well, basically what's up is now most of the pharmaceuticals are producing all of these drugs that we're taking. You know, we're taking all these drugs, people are getting sick. They're altering the crops with all of the genetic stuff, modifying things. So really they're messing with the food chain. They're messing with the food. That's basically it. Well, the Bible says that in the end that we would need we would be confronted with a situation where the only way we can buy or sell is if we have the mark of the beast, which is 666. Okay, so basically we will be and are being controlled by our foods and also by our debt. Okay, because the Bible says that to owe no man nothing. We're not supposed to be in debt. Okay, which is another whole subject. But this country is basically bankrupt. Okay, because of the Federal Reserve System, which is a privately owned thing. So that's another whole thing. But between keeping people financially in bondage and then feeding them garbage food and then prescribing medications that have side effects, you're basically controlling a nation, controlling the people. And that's what's happening. So in any words, to get back on the subject was organic food. So you're going to have trouble finding organic seeds. Now online you can find them. So you can find your organic seeds. What I suggest you do is when you get your seed, get a lot of seed and keep your storehouse of seeds, because it's going to be a day when you're not going to be able to find any seeds. Okay? Because they don't want you to grow good food. And most states have legislation now that's trying to ban organic foods. Okay? So check it out. If you don't believe I'm telling you the truth, check with your legislation, check with your congressman, your assemblyman, or whatever, and you find out there's a lot of bills that are before Congress and before the Senate that deal with organic foods, deal with herbal medicines and natural-based things, because they're trying to get us to be a completely drug-dependent society. Well, the problem with drugs, like I said, is the side effects. The side effects in most cases are worse than the condition you had to take the drug in the first place. Okay, so you need to try to get hold of your own health and your own health situation than that of your family, because it's about to get serious. As far as we're concerned, it's been serious. But my wife and I, we've been on this crusade for like 30 some years. So we've been eating properly, trying to train our children to do the same thing. And when and if anybody gets sick, we take herbal medicine. We know which herbs to take for whatever the different situations. There are herbs that'll get rid of cancers. There are herbs that'll help get you off of diabetic medicines. There are herbs for everything, because God has in place everything that we need. And God, the plants are God's. So, they're there. That's our medicine. The Bible tells us that. So anyway, this is the area that we're interested in. This is what we've been doing. We're trying to keep ourselves healthy. God built the human body to withstand basically anything, And that's why we have an immune system to fight off things. But your immune system cannot fight off things if your immune system has been compromised, because you're not giving your body the right nutrients. So you have a poor immune system. So what good is a poor immune system? It's of no value, because you can't fight off anything. So if your immune system is strong, God has designed it so that you can fight off anything and everything. And this is why we should be living a lot longer than we are. Okay? So we need to learn how to grow our own foods. It's very easy to grow your own foods. If you want to email me, I can give you some tips on what to grow, how to grow it, or whatever. What you'll find out is it's cheaper for you to grow it. You'll be healthier because you'll be getting the nutrients that you desire. And at the same time, you will not have to worry about the health care crisis which we're in at this time, because you won't have to deal with going to the hospital. My wife and I will go to the doctor if we need to, maybe to set a bone that's broken or something like that. But the only thing, as far as this is just our opinion, this is how we feel. We're not telling you what to do. We're just telling you what we do. What we do is, if we do go to the doctor for anything, we'll let him diagnose us. When we find out what the problem is, if we don't already know, then we go home and we take care of it. That's how we deal with it. But we have not been sick for years. As a matter of fact, my wife, we've been married for almost 42 years, and I can't remember if she's ever had a cold in her life, really. And I've only had a few. And our children, I can't remember if they've had but maybe one or two, only because they eat a little different now because they're grown and they make their own choices and decisions, okay? But basically, we've been healthy our whole lives. And I have to credit my mom with that, because she taught us what to do. She also taught us to drink a lot of water. She taught us to stay away from a lot of sweets. So there's things she taught us that just became a habit, and it's easy for us to do now. So anyway, I'll talk a little bit more probably tomorrow about nutrition. But be blessed, eat right,